Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am Ansar Gilani, English commentator at Tire Sports, instructor at Interculture Studies, Social Sciences, English Literature and International Relations. Uh, there was a question that how we can eradicate or uproot the evils of ignorance, poverty, injustice and exploitation in our state. These four, you can say, diseases or evils, social evils, which are present both in subcontinent countries, India and Pakistan. Both these countries are facing ignorance, poverty, injustice and exploitation. As far as Pakistan is concerned, I would like to give device lines over here. The way Imran Khan is claiming that we are going to make this country or the state to run on the welfare basis or the Islamic concept of welfare state as the kingdom of or the state of Arabia or the state of Medina was established in the same patterning and the same given lines we are to make this state. But the involving factors that we are facing poverty and ignorance, exploitation and injustice, and one of the massive problem is that the flood of population is uncontrollable. That is causing the problem for Pakistan not to come out of ignorance and poverty. Why? Because before the plans and policies and check and accountability comes on the every citizen, and the larger sections of the society are not put under you can say legal and legitimate sources channelization, we would be unable to make our population a rich one away from ignorance and coming out of exploitation, injustice. The big hurdle is our population. Until there would be no check on the population or there would be no facilitation to the every citizen of the country, how we can claim that that we could be a prosperous and a developing one nation, would have right emerge in the community of the nation. So one thing that I would like to discuss over here, since 2000 when the eruption of electronic media and print media came into Pakistan, and plenty of you can say channels got opened and they started disseminating information and started giving awareness. Though the larger sections of the society are ignorant and illiterate, and they haven't ever gone to any institution so that their for mean to say their personalities could be personalized or personized or patronized on the modern educational institutions. So how this problem could be eradicated? One is to make a two-party system. Until we would not make a political or constitutional, you can say, amendment and make the state run on the basis of two-party system. Because Pakistan was crafted and established, you could say, made on ideological grounds, and it has been run since the inception of Pakistan on traditional, conventional and customary and tribal instinct based, and religio-driven, and not as a true sense of the religio-driven, rather it has been faction, and you can say different school of thoughts have been working to educate and refine the you can say majority of the people to be true Muslim, to be simple and looking forward and looking optimistically to the affairs of the state. So, two-party system will, to some extent, come to success if you can say one part of the country is declared as the liberal section of the society, and other could be declared as ideologist or religious group of the or the section of the society. So what to do these two groups for 60 years or 50 years before 2000, before the electronic media and the print media, and a massive awareness came into our societies, and colleges and universities started opening because there was a flood of information that was pulling and pushing us to pace up ourselves with the rest of the world. So after 2000, when the electronic media and the print media came into eruption into our society, we are becoming more and more liberal, and we are becoming more and more liberated from any so-called prints of the past, were they formerly the traditional and conventional one, because this you can say Indo-Pak or subcontinent was divided into two nations and two geographies. For British, it was divisions of two geographical borders, but for us, the both nations, India and Pakistan, were divided on the basis of two-nation theory. But after that, the exploitation and injustice and you can say ignorance and poverty is prevailing both in India and Pakistan. Though at the upper level, you can say the governors of the state or the ruling elites is the different, you can say, religious groups, but at the down and at the public operational areas, we, the both Indian and Pakistani population is facing ignorance and poverty and injustice and exploitation. For both of the countries, you could say, are their own having solutions. But for when we talk about Pakistan, Pakistan's after 2000 is entirely different than the 50 years ago. All the nation was on one page. Either they were driving the country on traditional and conventional ways of the life. But after 2000, we are getting a liberal kind of mindsets. People of the new generation is appearing on the orbit of Pakistan with somewhat free thinking and freelancing of mindsets, and social media is there, internet is there, electronic sources are there, so individual channels are there, so university professors and lecturists and different media groups are working upon the minds of the modern age, that as to how they are to walk with the pace of the life. They could run their life on the individual behalf, and individualism is, you can say, rapidly erupting or stepping into our states, and collective approach as it was in the past is getting slim, and there is becoming a big priorities gap. One is of the senior generation, and is other of the junior generation. Senior generation is going on its priorities, and the junior generation, the present ongoing generation, is going on its own priorities, though the both ones are at the one floor under the same you can say roof, just like as the liberalist and ideological you can say forces both are present at the parliament floor. In the same way, the junior and the senior generation, parents and their siblings and their children are at the same floor, and priorities are getting being separated, and you can say standards of life are truly different, and there is a social and literal and religious and you can say cultural clashes, though having no strong, you can say, battle, but inside the war is going on and priorities are being set on, and society is becoming modernized one and going to pace up with the westernization, industrialization and globalization, as well as the international civilization that is coming on towards our society. So what is the end result, or what is the end solution, where plenty of other parties are, you can say, working in Pakistan. They are rightfully contesting all elections right from the beginning of the country, though largely it has been run by the armed forces, because we have been lacking, you can say, the right political institutions, and there was a crisis of leadership and crisis of the vision. That's why we could not run the country either on truly religious ground, either on truly, you can say, liberal grounds. But the more we are going ahead and the more we are merging with the rest of the communities and the rest of the world, we are getting something more. We are liberating ourselves from any kind of prejudices based on religion or the convention or the tribal instinct or conventions, or you can say the territorial and geographical or provincial or federal or whatever the territorial ones. So whatever the divisions are present in us are getting, you can say, and more and more liberating spirit and independent spirit is erupting into our youth, and they are making themselves freelancers and free thinkers, and freely they are merging and interacting and making all attempts to be a part of the merger group that are having free spirit and freeness at any kind of clashes are being diluted into nothingness, and a very clean and clear visionary kind of generation is rising at the orbit of Pakistan. Having all these factors, involving factors that are present in our country, our country is pulling into two main blocks. One is traditional one, and one is the most liberal one. It's a right time that there should be amendment in the constitutions, and Pakistan should run with two-party system, the way it is present in England and you can say America, largely parliamentarian system wherever it is ruling, because democracy could only rule where education rate is 100% and people are known by intellect and their knowledge sharing and their awareness, and everyone is getting educated, everyone is being patronized from the institutions, the topmost modern elites, schools, colleges and the universities that are working upon the characters and the personalities and the behavioral pattern of the youth wherever it is present on the planet Earth. The same in Pakistan, they are getting effects of it and getting impact of it, and they can't remain cutting away from the impact of the modern world. So to beat with the challenges that we are confronting at the different, you can say, areas where religious and ideologies groups are at the clash with the, you can say, the modern forces that are rising on the behalf of education, and latest that changes are coming on, and the violations are there, delinquencies are there, and revolts are rising there, radical changes are coming on there, and we are standing at the nowhere, and we are standing at the crossroad. We still don't know where to go and what is our right vision and what is our right ideology and what is our right strategy that should be followed to set the ground lines where from a well-rooted state could stand on and could represent the country and its citizens in rightful footage. So here the question arises, the two-party system could eradicate all evils, either the cultural ones or the social ones. The both groups could be put on one page and they could be as to how they are to go heads together and policies together, and there should be a sheltering together, and they should help out each others. Because the more the education rate will increase, the more frustration and desperation could erupt into society. Because when we do read the latest, you can say, education's latest faculties we are enjoying, the modern syllabus being taught, and our students that are the products of this modern age, the coming from the universities and colleges, that could erupt into a trouble and could put us into high, you can say, pressure driven kind of state, and upcoming challenges, upcoming governments and upcoming parties that are to represent the largest sections of the society will become difficult. Because when the awareness level comes in a society, people start talking and start sharing the ideas, and they start wrestling inside the mind, and then wrestling comes out in the state, comes out into the you can say country level, and it takes start in within the groups, within the families, outside the groups, outside the families, at the forums, at the groups, and at the media offices, and at the different, you can say, segments of the society start you can say chirping like the birds. Because in the earlier they just chirp like the birds, later on the voices turn into a vision, or voices turn into a message, and when message is spreading in a collective way, it becomes dangerous, and it becomes difficult how to meet with the rising voices, which are having somewhat logical package and having somewhat logical, you can say, patterning, and the logical backgrounds are there, and having some justifying of the voices. And before the voices turned into aggression and violent acts, and to be a desperate efforts and to be disappointments, they must be channelized, and they must be put into some normalcy that could save the planet and save the state and save the country. And they could be channelized, and they could be harmonized, and they could be sympathized, and they could be you can say plugged within the set minds. So here you can say, as Indo-Pak, both are facing ignorance and poverty, injustice and exploitation. It's a long journey yet we are to travel. Might we are to travel 200 years more to reach at excellence. Because when we study the state of England, Magna Carta, when it was as a charter declared in 1258 or 60 around, when the you can say the power of House of Lords or the Kings were starting transferred into House of Commons. And if England took 7 to 8 hundred years to reach to the excellence, and to reach to the you can say to reap the fruits of the democracy, why not Indo-Pak would travel more? But if we take some radical steps right now, because there was no set example other than example of Islam, they had no example how to run the affairs of the state on the democratic grounds. But since the British colonization came, and they wherever they went, they spread the awareness and gave the ways of the world and gave the idea of how to run the political affairs of the state. Now we should make some forward-looking steps, and we should make radical change in the country. We could only do this when we would be having clear-cut minds about as to how we have to meet with this one massive problem of ignorance and poverty. One is to educate the people in a general way by giving more and more electronic resources. Even the remote areas of the both countries of Pakistan, the side areas of Pakistan, the countrysides should also be accessed with the mainstream of the country. They should be given electricity, they should be given the roads, and you can say communication and transportation and infrastructure that is highly necessary to uplift the standard of the nation, apart from either they are getting the education or not. Later on, at the second stepping, education could be given to the people. But the top priority is as to how to make general awareness or common awareness, or how to make them aware of the human rights or public rights or their individual rights, or rights to know themselves, and right to lead a simple and straight life, and a pure life, and life of right thinking, go on the religio and cultural grounds, but making the people non-violent and non-aggressive and you can say, revolting, and better to console them, better to take them to the mainstream by having some forward-looking steps. So ignorance and poverty could only be curtailed when people are made aware and they are given sense of life, that they are to make the characters of their person, you can say, their children. If they can't afford their education, why they are multiplying and mounting the pressure on the central nose of the country. So man, you can say, think come over there, if we are to end the confusion present in the nation, either we are to run the country more for upcoming 20, 30 or 40 years, we are to go for revolutionary steps, or we are to wait for evolutionary steps. Every sensible nation follows the steps of evolution and radical thinking there, rather to go for revolting and bloodshed to be given. That would not benefit killing half of the population and saving half of the population, and then giving and facilitating with the resources of the nation. So problems are plenty of there, but the resources are also there. We need some sane and you can say people, intelligent and sensible policy makers that could make the policies how to channelize the resources to the people, and they are to be equipped with the modern you can say arsenals, and modern you can say gadgets to be availed, modern you can say latest changes that are coming to be availed, and latest changes that are coming to be enjoyed, not only rather to be giving feedback to the central governments by having some close intimation and close understanding with the government resources, because no government could run smoothly without having a connection with its nation. But until the crisis of leadership and crisis of vision will not be eliminated, will not be ended, we as a nation, being Muslim, though we have a complete and a perfect, you can say, system in us, but no system can be channelized until the nation is not present at one belief or one page or one syllabus or one thinking patterning or one understanding that we are after all to live at the you can say laws anywhere. So when we talk about the two-party system, party should be, there should be amendment, as I already have talked. There should be a constitutional amendment, and there should be coming of bold steps from ongoing government or upcoming government. Previously, no government could do this one because in the poverty-driven countries or ignorance-driven in exploitation and injustice were largely prevailing. Multi-party, multi-racial groups are there, mafias groups are there, pressure groups are there, monopolists are there, business groups are there, and bureaucrats are there, and there are plenty of you can say groups that are becoming independent by the economy, and later on they are becoming, you can say, the ongoing elite, and they try to put them under, you can say, control or underhand, so that they can't rise, they could size up with the elites. But main thing is to end confusion, we are to put the entire nation into two divisions, and this is not two divisions to rule the country, rather this will be the right way to entertain and facilitate and protect the overall population, overall you can say people, those who are the voters of the representative. One is liberalist group and other is ideologist groups. Those people who want to give a vote to the ideological groups, mean religious group, they should give votes to one party elected at their individual party system. First there should go election within the ideologist groups, and there should be one person agreed upon that this will participate in the countrywide upcoming election. And other liberalist group, there should be you can say party system. There should be election within their groups, and finally one person should be elected for upcoming elections to be held and to be participated. In this way, two main figures from both ideological groups and liberal group will be on the top, and then the general elections could be held where all the population will give its votes to the people to make them aware of the two parties. So when they will give right to their people and choice and respect to the general strata or general public, that either they are to vote to the liberal groups, either they are to give the vote to the ideologist group. Liberal groups will go for the human rights, and religious group will go for the sanctity and integrity of the values, simple life, as well as they will give somewhat character, and they will lessen the burden of protocol and high status and high standard that become very expensive for every citizen, and later on it become pressure for the country. When two-party system will be there, we will come to know that there is somewhat way that is being practiced and that is being followed. In this way, a larger section of parties will not come on the floor that later become exploiting forces. One party will get a bulk, you can say majority, and will sit at the parliament floor and will make the right policies, and the opposite party will give the criticism, a fair criticism will come, and in this way we will be able to run the country in a transparent way and in a rightful way, and we will be able as to how we are to strengthen our country. If two-party system is introduced in Pakistan, one is liberalist and other one is ideologist, and nation will be divided into two choices, not into two groups to rule on them in a new way. Rather, it will make them easy. They are to rise with new mindsets or with the religious by character or by personality. That would be the decision coming on. Thank you very much.